this lens, this camera, this microphone, bang, you can make any video you ever wanted to.
One of the biggest English-speaking channels about Japan on YouTube, filled with information and entertainment, is of course Abroad in Japan, created by Chris Broad about 10 years ago. Over the last 3 years, where I haven't been able to be in Japan myself, his channel has grown massively to allow more people to experience Japan as the borders have been closed, building on his foundation of over 10 years worth of YouTube content. So whilst up in Sendai to catch up with Chris, not only did we climb a volcano, but we also had an hour or so to catch up and go through his camera bag and see his neon 80s inspired ramen studio that is absolutely incredible, by the way. So enjoy this a bit like a podcast. If you're new around here, my name is Allam. I'm a travel photographer and filmmaker. I make plenty of videos about Japan, but also the rest of the world. I love talking about camera gear, and so it was a no-brainer to sit down with Chris and go through the equipment and see a sneak peek into behind the scenes of his self-titled sarcastic guide to Japan. We're in the Abroad in Japan studio. I'm here with Chris Broad.
Hello, Jay. How you doing?
Today, we're going to run through your camera gear.
Absolutely.
So let's find out what you're going to serve up. What's in your camera bag?
What's in my camera? Well, you're using one of my cameras, a Blackmagic. Blackmagic S? I don't know what it is. Blackmagic 6K Pro, but you've put a microphone on it and you stole it. So the main camera I use though is the one that I think most vloggers use these days, right? And that is the Sony a7S III. Let's move the fish. Do you want a drink, by the way?
Sure. Yeah.
Two choices: kiwi sour and brewdog.
I know what this is.
Go on, have this one.
I'm going to go for
good choice.
Thank you.
All right.
Have you got a drink?
Yeah, I've got coffee.
Oh.
I don't drink this early in the morning, Joe. I'm not an alcoholic. Cheers. Enjoy your kiwi sour. How is it?
It's all right. It's good.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. That means it's not very good. Yeah, Sony a7S III. Up until 2 years ago, I was using the Panasonic S1H, same as you, and I remember watching your videos on it. Jay made me get an Atmos Ninja. He made a video where he's in London. He's like, there's just such a quality to it, the Atmos Ninja. 10-bit, Super Dickens, 422. And I was like, I want one, so I bought it. And it was marginally better, but it wasn't enough to warrant using the Ninja Atmos much.
You messaged me on Twitter. You were like, what camera should I get or something, or like, thinking of this. And I mentioned the S1H, and then the next message you came back, you said like, oh, I got one. I was like, oh, cool, what lenses did you get? Because you'd mentioned all these other ones, and you're like, all of them. All of them. You bought so many lenses.
I bought a lot of prime lenses, like 135 millimeters and 85. I went to town, basically. And I've got like an addiction, I've got over it now, to buying lenses that I just don't use.
Yeah.
I've got a shelf in my apartment littered with the corpses of 1,000 lenses. Honestly, with the A7S III, I only use probably 3 lenses, even though I've probably got 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm. And at the moment, this is a 1635.
Yes, so this is the 1635 G Master 2.8. Such a great lens. This is actually brand new. I broke the previous one. After using it for 2 years, I was doing a shoot at a hot spring the other day. Very stupidly, I had it on a Joby tripod, and it lost balance and hit the corner of the bath, and it hit the screen and sort of shattered it. And it was the one day I didn't have anything on the lens protecting it, like an ND filter, a Pro Mist lens like I've got here, Pro Mist filter. So yeah, it got fucked. And I was very, very annoyed. I tried to wipe that out of my memory. But maybe it was time for a new update anyway. So this is the lens I use the most.
With the Pro Mist?
With the Pro Mist. I try to, yeah.
Yeah.
I find it just softens the image subtly.
Yeah.
And this is a 1/8, right? So it's honestly, it's really hard to notice the difference. For example, here in the ramen shop, and lights like this sort of have a nice bloom to them, nice soft look to them.
Yep.
The quarter's a bit too much. I do have the quarter, but it's just too much, really.
Yeah.
If I could have one camera, one lens for vlogging or doing most things, it would be this. The second lens I have that I use quite a bit is the f1.8 14 millimeter. Here it's very wide. This is 60 millimeter, but when you put on like the sort of stabilization stuff, right, it crops in, right?
Yep.
Active stabilization crops in. So I need to have something a bit wider, and that's where this comes in. The image on this is exceptional. And I've really kind of been using this recently here in the ramen shop. I've started filming like standing here, right? And I have the camera here with the super wide angle lens, this one, and I get a really nice sort of angle of the whole bar, the whole counter.
And do you vlog with that as well?
I do, yeah, I do.
But it's not stabilized, no?
It's not stabilized, and neither's this.
Okay.
So this is the 2.8. You can get a stabilized f4 lens, but I wanted the 2.8. The image is just superior on this lens, I think. But the stabilization in the A7S III is pretty good. Generally, it's not S1H good or GH5 good, but it's good enough to use. And I rarely find I use a gimbal.
Do you use a B cam?
Yeah, I do. I didn't bring with me. I've got the Sony Alpha 1.
Nice.
Which is a bit too much. It's a over-the-top B cam. But the problem with the Alpha 1 is the perfect camera. And I would love to use it to vlog with, but it doesn't have this
It's got a tilt.
very simple tilt screen, right? The A1, it only comes outwards. Being a vlogger, you can't do the most basic shot.
But maybe they'll take the screen design of the A7R5.
Yes, the brand new one, right?
Kind of like a better version of the S1H.
It's really good, and it's like, why didn't they just put that on the A1? But anyway, so when I did like a recent series like Journey Across Japan, I usually have this with the 16-35, and I'll vlog with this, and then I'll have the A1 on me with the 24-70 lens, 2.8, and I'll use that to getting B-roll shots, so rather than switching lenses. But the A1 is superior. It's got a better image, more dynamic range, 8K. It's the perfect sort of B-roll camera for that. Right. And it matches obviously perfectly with the A7S III.
When you work with other people who are filming for you, do they use your cameras or do they bring their own?
They were using mine, but the 3 cameramen I use and I work with, they all operate Sonys now. All of them have either an A7S III or an A1. Sony have just hit the sweet spot. They ticked all the boxes. Although not for Joe, with his Fujifilm camera. I like Fujifilm. I think they're fantastic. I think they're great for stills. Still not so sure about video. That's why you're here to convince me.
You make it sound like I'm a Fujifilm
He's a salesman. But we're very close to the Fujifilm factory. It's actually here in Sendai. It's about 25 minutes from here. Let's go and steal some. But Sony have really knocked it out the park. It's been a long time coming, but A7S III has been fantastic. And I do miss the S1H. A friend of mine's currently using it the last year. When am I going to get it back? I don't know. But I do miss the S1H. But of course, when I was using that, I was focusing manually, and same with the GH5. It's an absolute nightmare to constantly be manually focusing. Even though I enjoy doing it for shooting B-roll, there's something nice about focusing yourself. But this is taken over.
Do you think you'd ever go into something like an FX3, FX6?
I think this is better than an FX3 for this reason. I mean, this is the one thing this has over the FX3, right? The viewfinder, which is exceptional. And I remember I was on a desert, or rather a sand dune in Tottori about a year ago, and it was so damn bright. And obviously the screen here, this screen isn't very good on the A7S III. This flippy bollocks tiny screen. Well, with this you can see straight through, and honestly that's the reason I would choose this over the FX3. But I think the FX3 is a fantastic camera. I really do.
And then audio setup, what is your go-to?
So audio, I use this. This is the Rode video mic.
That's seen some wear.
It has. In fact, I should probably buy another one. But the audio out of it, people often ask, like, wow, what's the audio setup? It sounds really good. It's just this. I love shotgun microphones. I think the audio is exceptional. It's very simple. But love this microphone. And it's got some controls on the back there. What's so good about this one is when you switch the camera on and off, it switches the mic on and off as well. And the predecessor to this, everyone got screwed because they would leave it running, or they would leave it on or off. Some people would shoot and then realise the microphone wasn't even on the whole time. So this gets rid of that issue.
I find actually the microphone tech is often the one thing that is like the unsung hero. The tech behind the microphones, it never gets spoken about enough. And just little things like the on off. Like, man, we have to deal with some crap.
Well, yeah. I mean, the amount of takes we'd do and the cameraman would be like, oh, Chris, sorry, I didn't have the microphone on. And I'd be like, I'm going to kill you.
But that's one of the difficulties that's, like YouTube as a space is, a lot of it is independent. And so you're not with like an audio team or every now and then.
Absolutely.
So
it's both a blessing and a curse. Like, I've got a really popular series on YouTube with my friend Connor, Sea Dog VA, called Wacky Weekend. And it's just him and I in a car or going to bizarre places with literally just this camera and a drone as well, of course, and a drone. And it just has a really good production quality to it. You know, as long as you think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like we're at a point now where you can do a good documentary as well. Like I did a Fukushima documentary about 2-3 years ago. It was just this. It was just like a simple camera. I think that was all shot on the GH5. But like, as long as you've got a good story to tell, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know, the basic equipment, you can get the job done.
Yeah.
But I do have a new recent purchase in the world of audio, and that is the Zoom
32-bit.
F2. Yes, there we go. And so I've been doing a series of videos at the moment working on food, about food in Japan. Been going into restaurants, and you know, word of warning, if you come to Japan, they don't mind the camera. What they care about is this. They get very scared when they see a shotgun mic. So take this out of the equation, put a lav mic on, and nobody gives a toss. They don't ask you anything.
This is the first time I've seen this in person. So am I right in thinking this is the 32-bit float audio?
Yeah,
So
I think it is, yeah.
Pretty much you can't clip the audio.
Yeah, it's really hard to screw up. It's pretty much impossible to screw up the audio on this.
Yeah.
I'm still getting the hang of it. I'm not really sure what the Bluetooth thing is for. Like, does it sync with something?
Probably a timecode sync.
It's probably that. But honestly, really great audio coming out of it. So I went into like a ramen shop like yesterday, and my cameraman filmed me. We made it look like we were just taking photos, but we weren't.
Yeah.
And that, you know, nobody questions it. The audio is exceptional.
You're using a Zoom mic.
Yeah, this is the mic that came with the Zoom.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. How much are these?
I think it was about 20,000 yen, which is about £5, or $3, because the yen is just now worthless. No, I think it's like $150, $200 or something. But yeah, love it. I absolutely want to get more of these. In fact, I should probably buy one now. Actually, I think I did order one. I'm waiting on it. I got another one.
When you get audio wrong, like it's ruined, the whole thing.
Exactly, and you know, the amount of times I've been on a shoot and the audio's gone like blown out, it's like, and it's like, no, there's nothing we can do about that. Yeah. Now it's sorted. Never again. Haha. Tech. I don't have it with me, but I recently bought the Mavic Air 2S as well, because in Japan you have to have a special. The most recent drones you need like a sort of chip in it or something.
Oh right.
Kind of they can detect who owns it or whatnot.
A licensing.
Yeah, and the Mavic 2 Pro that I had didn't have that in it. So I had to upgrade, and so I got that, and it's been a fantastic drone to shoot with so far. We did a hike yesterday up a mountain. Joe loved that.
I did.
And on a short notice, I was like, let's go for a stroll, Joe. And he didn't know it was like 2,000 metres up a volcano. But I used the drone there, and the footage out of that I've seen so far has been exceptional. Really excited to use that more. And more recently, the GoPro 10 for when I'm vlogging around. I know there's an 11 out, but there's not enough difference between the 10 and 11 to warrant the upgrade. And the 10 is really good. If you're just a simple vlogger and, you know, this with a GoPro, and you've got a pretty good setup there. The colours on the 10 are really good. They got a new sensor in it last year, and you can see the difference between the 9 and 10. I know a lot of YouTubers that use a GoPro and just this. You've got professional, you know, TV grade audio and pretty good video.
Seeing you using that yesterday, just how like comfortable that was, just especially when hiking, because you know, I mean, I was hiking with, I didn't have a backpack on, but I had just camera and like a bag of snacks.
Naturally.
Yeah. At that point, I was like, man, I wish I had my GoPro with me, but I didn't bring it to Japan. And also, it's a Hero 6, so it's got the old blown out highlights.
Good lord, that's outdated.
Yeah.
Time for an upgrade. But you know, I'd really recommend getting it. You know, honestly, I'd still, you know, there's no substitute for this. I can still vlog with this on a Joby bloody tripod walking around.
Do you use any telephoto lenses?
I actually got the Sony 100 to 400 millimeter lens this year in February when I was doing did a documentary with Ken Watanabe, the actor, really great guy. And there's one point where he's on a stage and I realised I needed a special lens just to shoot him. So I got this bloody 100mm to 400mm lens just for that. And it was like 200,000 yen, like $2,000. You know, the shots out of that lens are exceptional, but it's so damn heavy. You need like a team of people to carry the lens for you. Or in my case, Charlotte. I also have a 135mm lens and an 85mm lens.
Nice.
But they're so, you know, they're so specialised that I just don't use them enough. And that's a shame. And that's why I need to rein it in and stop buying bloody lenses for like single-use events, right? Because at the end of the day, this and the 24-70 and this are the three lenses I use the most. And also Sony, this camera's got something called Clear Zoom. It's a 5.7K sensor, but it only outputs 4K, right? And you do a digital zoom in, right?
Oh, right.
But it's not digital. It's actually just sort of cropping in on the sensor. So this is 16 to 35, but with a clear zoom, it can go up to, I think, 50 millimeters.
Okay.
So
it's like just a little bit more of a reach.
Yeah, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah. I always find 16 to 35, like it's nice when you need to go wide, but I just always want it longer.
Oh, me too. You walked into that one.
And what bag are you carrying? And do you have any extra? Do you have any like fun little accessories?
You bet I don't. I'm not like you. Inspector Gadget himself. This is my bag. It's a bit clunky. It's a Vanguard bag. It's nothing. Honestly, it's nothing special. But in here, have a compartment where
you carry your Mac with there as well.
I did today, but I don't normally. But yeah, you can fit the Mac in the back. Camera there, lenses there. Underneath, there's a pouch where I keep the old. There you go, the old JB tripod.
Yeah.
No vlogger would be complete without it. Oh, I bet you don't use it. Do you?
I don't use them. No.
Yeah.
No.
He's above that.
Different one.
Yeah. I did also get a red Komodo. Haven't used it once. It's very depressing and very annoying. Every time I'm like, I'm going to use it today, I'm like, I haven't got enough time. I'll just get the Sony. And it's just God damn it.
Have you even like practiced with it?
I have, but I did some shots here in the studio, and the image was, astonishingly good and very. It's just insane.
That's RF mount, right?
Yeah, it's the RF mount. So I've got some RF. I had to buy some RF lenses as well. I've got every lens imaginable at this point. It's ridiculous. Panasonic, Sony, RF. It's bonkers. But I do want to use the red Komodo more next year. I was going to use it this year. My one thing I want to do this year is to make a short film and to make some sort of, fictional content. But it takes a lot of time, and I decided to go on a fitness journey instead and get fit.
Yeah.
And I don't regret that. Because I was putting on some weight, and I've lost I think, like 8 kilograms.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, and I wanted to feel good before I dive into some serious projects like that, going into fiction content. But it's a big leap because, again, as I said earlier, the miracle of YouTube is all we need is this, and that is how you make a video. This lens, this camera, this microphone, bang, you can make any video you ever wanted to.
I've always kind of read between the lines on, you sort of like talk about your work online is, as much as you're in front of the camera, you always want to be behind the camera.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favourite aspect of making a video. Recently on the Nek Ascendo Trail, that really beautiful mountain route, and I got some really nice shots there. I was just loving that, walking down these old kind of traditional Japanese mountain villages, right? Yeah. With the rain coming down, capturing the shots and the compositions. That's my favourite part doing a video, I'd say. And sort of thinking of set pieces to build around the video. So the way I do my videos is I usually build them around a scene or set piece or joke, right? A memorable moment. I think if I could have a video have one thing, it's to make it memorable for something, right? Mm-hmm. I did a video that I've forgotten about. Ironically, I make it memorable, but I've forgotten it myself. Biggest Lie in Japan, it was called. It came out in June, I think. And in that video, I had this idea. I think it was inspired by this Blade Runner backdrop. I had this idea of having a flying car. And I spent so much damn time. I have 2 projectors, right? I had 2 projectors. I built this flying car. And I filmed myself in it going, oh, Japan's so futuristic, but it's not. And I had this idea, and I spent like a whole week doing that for like a 10-second joke. But it kind of, I don't know, it made the video feel fun and had a sense of identity to it. My excuse for using the flying car was that everyone thinks Japan's futuristic in terms of technology. It's not. And I went from flying car to using a fax machine. Being like, So another example, about 2 years ago, I did the scene where I had this really cool little diorama of a Japanese Japanese living room. And I was like, I want to put myself in there. And I got this blue screen and I taught myself how to use it and sort of put myself in the diorama. And a lot of people watching the video at the start were like really confused when it's clearly not a diorama. When it's, they see me sitting there in the room talking and whatnot. And then the door opens and a hand comes out and kicks me out the shot, flicks me out the shot, whatever. Yeah, I have those sort of moments. And that's the best way to do a video, when you have a specific scene or story point that you want to build the whole thing around, right? Mm-hmm.
That's actually a golden tip. That's really good.
I think that's the best bit of advice I have. Because you get excited about that moment, right? Yeah. I got excited through the long process of scripting the video, Japan's Biggest Lie. I think they had like 12 points in it or something, or 6 points. I could be like, I love that point. I love that flying car. That's what I cling to. That keeps me motivated, thinking about how people might react to that or enjoy that moment. If I'm not pushing myself in each video and trying to do something new, I get bored really easily. And maybe that's why this year, more than any other, I've felt my motivation waning a little bit, because I'm not really sure what the hell I'm doing anymore.
Maybe as a follow-on to that then, because that's obviously like pretty interesting how you sort of plan it and build it. Now that you're working with editors, because I know up until recently you've been doing everything, how has that been in terms of like opening doors for more plans?
It's been great having editors. I've got sort of 3 at the moment. I had one the last sort of year or so who's been fantastic, but I still find I've been too controlling and intervening an awful lot. But it's, you know, it's a hard thing, because when you've done this 9-10 years, whatever,
It's your baby.
yeah, you have a set way of doing things, and it's hard to just let go. And I do fundamentally enjoy editing still to an extent, but I have to let go, because right now everything's grinding to a halt, because I very stupidly chose to edit a series called Journey Across Japan that I did, and it sort of create this sort of knock-on effect of nothing happening.
And then photography wise, I know you do a lot of that. Do you post as much as you want about that?
No, and I haven't done as much photography as I'd like to recently.
You should definitely do something somewhere.
Well, I've got the bloody Sony A1, which is like the best photography camera in the world. Sorry, Fujifilm. You know, and I'm like, why the hell aren't I using this more? I'm just using it to take stupid thumbnails at the moment. But honestly, I find videos a lot more thrilling than photography for me. And I think it honestly feels like the world is sort of moving away from photography. As we look at, you know, your Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, everything's moving towards short form videos. So it feels like the days of photography are almost coming to an end in many ways.
I think, the idea of like mass photography where everyone's doing it. And so then what I see is what's going to be left behind is probably going to be like, you know, the top contenders of good photographers.
Yeah.
Which I must be honest has me worried, because I'm like, I don't think I fit in that bracket of things. And so the sort of everyday shots and type of thing that I'm doing, I'm like, is that gonna stand out? Because you know, in a pool of really good photography,
it's just about getting something unique. I mean, one of the reasons I got bored of photography in Japan is I saw so many other photographers doing the same stuff. And you know, everyone was doing the same bloody photos in Shinjuku, Tokyo, or Shibuya, right? And it just got a bit boring. And I was like, oh, what's the fun in this? For me, you know, I find video far more exciting, as it's a multi sort of sensory experience, visually, audio, you know. So yeah, I don't think I'll do much in terms of photography anymore, but it will be more video based.
Looking forward to making more stuff in the future.
Absolutely.
More hikes, but maybe with a little bit of notice beforehand.
I really want to do more hiking next year. That's like a top tier goal next year.
Cycling is something that I actually want to get into.
I'm your man. I'm your man. I cycled across Hokkaido. You can too. It's bloody painful.
I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to know more about this studio, by the way, Chris has done a whole video about the build of it, because I have to be honest, it is absolutely incredible.
It's pretty cool.
It's there's just an opportunity in every corner to film something. So you've made yourself a great little spot here. Yeah,
honestly, I feel like one of my biggest regrets the last year is I haven't used it as much as I should have. I used it a lot early on, but yeah, it's a tough thing. You look at it and think, wow, that's a great place to film, and it is. But at the same time, you've just got so many decisions to make on where you film from, how you light it, what you do. Should this be this way or should this be that way? You know, it's a bit overwhelming, and I spend half the shoot working out where the bloody hell I'm going to sit or stand. But this is my new favourite spot, right here behind the counter. It's kind of intimate. I like it.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll catch you in another video in Japan super soon. See you later.
Bye for now. Who wants some food?
Yes.
We've got ramen, we've got gyoza, and now just for you, a fish.
Very good.
Now, get stuck in.
I'm going to put a googly eye on that.
Eat the fish. Eat it. Eat my dinner! I've cooked it specially for you, Joe. Look at his little face. Look at that. Anyway, Joe wants to leave now. You see his face, like, why am I here?